Don't make me laugh too hard.
Kendra,
Yes, ma'am.
we in here. Episode 6 of the As Told By podcast, hosted by me, K.E. Kahja Elliott. Let me not start freestyling.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah. So this
The
has
people
been,
want to hear it.
Man, I don't think they do. I hope they don't.
I do.
You're missing nothing.
I'll speak for all people. I want to hear it.
So this is the last episode of season 1, episode 6. So for those of you who have been listening, I have been talking to and interviewing people episodes 1 through 5. But today,
Yes.
I am the interviewee.
Oof.
I'm the interviewee. So
You're
I'm
in the
gonna
hot
be
seat.
answering questions, and I have my homegirl here and I'll let her introduce herself in a second, but I have my homegirl here who is going to facilitate said interview and ask me all the greasy peasy questions.
They're juicy.
I told her she can ask whatever she wants. It's all good. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll have a few questions for you before we get started.
All right. Well, my name is Kendra Williams. I am a native Bay Area woman, born and raised. I don't want to fight anybody about this, but born and raised in San Jose, roots in the East Bay. So don't tell me nothing about not being Bay Area enough.
The South Bay, East Bay beef?
Of course.
See,
There's
I learn
always
something new
beef.
here all the time.
You know, everybody wants to say if it doesn't touch the water, it's not part of the Bay. But
Oh, is that the word?
yeah,
Oh.
that's one of them. But I'm a little bit more progressive in my definition.
Okay.
So yes, South Bay.
I mean, technically, would that make Half Moon Bay the Bay? It touches the
I
water.
mean, touches the Bay.
This is a flawed philosophy, as
It
you
is.
can
It is
see.
flawed, and everybody wants to fight about it. So
Okay. Well, hey, San Jose in the building.
yes, San Jose love and Oakland love. I
Kendra's
live here now.
Listen, y'all. Kendra, she's playing it quiet right now, but she's a creator extraordinaire. She's
don't
got
know if I would call
a
myself that.
project that just released its first episode,
Mm-hmm.
Black and Brown in the Middle.
Yes.
The episode was dope.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I am still, I'm still feeling it. I'm feeling a lot of love, but also, you know, it's tough to put yourself out there like that, you know, and tell your story. But I had to do it. I had to do it for us and to create some space for Black and brown folks to share who they are and take the stage, because we've spent too much time on the sidelines of whiteness and it ain't it.
If y'all didn't check the episode yet, I'm going to post the information
Thank you.
when this podcast
Thank
drops.
you.
But definitely make sure you check it out. I mean, you make a point. It is not easy putting
No.
yourself out there, especially if you can get your needs met on the back row. I like a back row seat myself.
Really?
Yes, I do. I like a back row. I like to sit in the back so I could get in and get out
Okay.
at will. Some may call it hiding. Call it what you want. I like to be off the radar, because when you're off the radar, you can move around a certain way. I think that was one of the things that was so appealing to me when I first moved to the Bay for those first couple of years. I didn't know anybody here.
Right.
So I could be in spaces, out of spaces. I'm not running into people I went to school with, people I used to date, people that, like, I didn't have
Yes.
those kinds of roots here.
Right.
So I could just be incognito.
And here
and
we
act
are.
a whole fool.
But here we are.
But here with a
So,
microphone and I
with the whole microphone in your face, like close to your face too. You're not even in the background. You are in the front row on the stage, which I love. So I want to dive in.
Okay.
Can we?
What's up?
All right. I want to hear your Bay Area origin story. And I was thinking about, like, how do I pose this question to you? And I got in touch with my brown sugar love, Tay Diggs. Anyway, I want to know, when did you first fall in love with the Bay Area?
Well, it was not love at first sight by any means.
Okay.
I was on no level was it love at first sight. Just to take it all the way back to the origins, I was living in Atlanta. I met a man online who lived in the Bay.
Okay.
And we talked for a period of months. And then my daughter was gone for the summer. You know, you send your kids down south for the summer. So I had a bunch of free time. And I'm like, okay.
Bunch of free time to be on the internet.
To be, and I'm like, well, hey, you should show me around Oakland. And he was like, when are you going to be in Oakland? I'm like, well, look, we'll set up some dates and I'll come out and visit.
Yeah.
So I came out to Oakland. I'd never been here before. And just let it be said, for decency's sake, I did get a hotel. I did not go stay with a man. I just met because it's just,
I was not going to take it there, but I am glad you clarified.
A little bit of decency.
I'm glad you clarified.
But I was here for a few days, and he showed me around, and he took me around. Shout out to D-Lo. I'm not going to call out your whole name, but you know who you are, D-Lo.
I'm going to need a picture. I'm going to need a picture later.
But he showed me around, and we hung out, and we had a good enough time that he made a trip to Atlanta, and I made a trip back here to visit. The dating situation didn't work out, but he's still a really good friend of mine.
That's beautiful.
I almost, like him more as a friend than, we butted heads during the dating situation, but still a good friend of mine to this day. But that was my first exposure to the Bay, is those 2 or 3 trips when I came out here. And at the time, I was in a job that I really didn't like.
Okay. What were you doing?
I was doing HR work.
Okay.
But, just on a different level than I was now for a smaller company. And I wasn't really feeling it. My daughter was going to be graduating from high school soon. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I want to do once she does? Do I want to stay in the suburbs of Atlanta? Do I want to go back to New York? I knew I really didn't want to do that. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? So on one of those trips out here, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just move to the Bay Area.
Maybe.
How about it? The work I do translates to California.
Yes.
The weather's great. It's waterfront.
Yes.
And so I'll give it a try. And that's what happened. So over those next 18 months, I got a second job. Coldwater Creek is no longer operational, but I got a job at a women's clothing store, Coldwater Creek. Yes. And I started mystery shopping, which was my third job. But I just started accruing money. I got an account at a California-specific bank where I would just sock all those checks. I wouldn't even see the checks. I just had them direct deposited into the California account. And 18 months later, I packed up my shiznai and I moved.
Okay, so wait. I didn't know I was talking to a whole financial advisor, first of all.
Failing to plan is planning to
fail.
Fail.
All right. Well, I'm going to be taking notes on that. So you were doing mystery shopping.
Funeral homes, mystery shopping.
What?
I know you can.
What does that even mean?
Home. You get a list of funeral homes in all different areas of the country, and you get a script. You get to pick your name, though, so I've been many names. But you get a script, and you call. And sometimes you're calling to assess a burial situation. Sometimes you're calling to assess the setup and pricing for a cremation situation. I would feel a little bit morally conflicted because I don't like to play with death like that. But you're calling and playing games on the phone essentially for money. But it was $5 a shop. So in between my work day, I would do like 3 in the morning, 3 on my lunch break, 3 in the afternoon. So that's, 15. And over time, it was adding up.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I will say that I find it a little creepy that you were out here making up death scenarios, but, money's money.
What you got to do to get your goals accomplished? Are you serious? You play games on the phone.
That's amazing. I don't know why I think I can't be surprised by you anymore, but you surprise me every time I talk to you.
Hey, abracadabra, all day around his piece.
Okay, so then what year did you take the plunge?
May 29th, 2014. I got off the flight, Oakland International. The auto shipping people were here with my car.
Okay.
I got my car. I had a hotel
Full
room
service.
for 7 days. And I had money, but I had a hotel room for 7 days. and I needed to find an apartment in 7 days.
In 7 days.
I didn't know Hayward from Pleasanton, from Oakland, from Berkeley, from nothing. I got one of those apartment listing books that you get in the front of the grocery store.
Yes.
And I just started driving around, looking at places, and as luck would have it, and also my friend D'Lo gave me a hit on, here, go check out this place in Hayward, and I ended up in Hayward.
Okay.
Right off 92 near the bridge, which worked to my benefit because my first job here was in Foster City.
Got it.
And there I was in Hayward for 6 years.
Wow.
Yes.
What was that like?
I like Hayward.
Yeah.
Yes. The apartment complex was one thing when I moved in. The clientele had changed in 6 years. I think the people downstairs, I think that could have been a trafficking apartment.
Oh.
There would be a lot of domestic stuff. I've seen people be thrown out.
Yeah.
I've seen, people not exchange the baby well during visitation. I saw a whole police standoff. People doing donuts.
Well, that's a
all
staple.
those things started to make me say, okay, I need to leave this apartment. But you know what drove me out?
Tell me.
This is not my fault, y'all. I'm being honest. When I saw it, I left almost 3 months later because I was like, I saw a roach. And I was like, oh, hell no.
Oh, yeah. See,
I ain't done roaches since 92. And I was just like, I'm out.
Listen, donuts you get used to.
Hey.
Donuts, that's a part of the culture.
Police standoff, I got my popcorn. But a roach?
A roach?
Nah,
I'm out. I'm out. Absolutely not. It's you or me. And the roaches don't converse. They don't want to argue with you.
No. It's
So
certain things
I would have to be
I'm just
out.
not doing at this age and stage.
Whew. Okay. So you then moved to Oakland in 2020?
I moved to Oakland January 2nd, 2021.
Okay.
So I broke my lease during the pandemic. I played the violins and got them to break my lease for half the price.
Good for you.
And I got up out because I would be in Oakland all the time. I would be hanging out all the time. And so I'm like, why keep driving up and down 880? Just moved to Oakland. And I found a place. I wanted to be by the lake. I wanted to be by the lake so bad because I'm like, I want to live in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
And I want to walk out and do this, and that. And then I would go look at these apartments, and like you couldn't do the first 4 steps of the electric slide to the left or the right before you hit a wall. And I'm like, is this for people who haven't accrued things in life yet? Like, I have shit. I have a whole bedroom set. I'm like, I have things. I can't fit in these apartments.
And you got to be able to do the electric slide.
I got to be able to do it. And the lady who was doing my hair at the time, she's like, look, I know you want to be in these streets, but you don't have to live in the streets. You can live street adjacent. You come into the streets when you want, and then you get out. And so I started to broaden my search to other areas. And I ended up finding something I really liked. The neighborhood I was not sold on because there was nothing over there to walk to. But I love it. It's quiet. And I'm so glad I picked where I did. I love my place. And I love living in Oakland.
I love that. So tell me, what is it about Oakland, the Bay, that keeps you here?
First of all, it's the weather. Y'all know.
You're right.
The year-round outdoor farmers markets. There's a real focus here on health and wellness. I get put to shame all the time when I see elders, like humpback elders, out jogging.
Moving.
I'm like, you have no excuse, Kahja.
Moving, not grunting when they're moving. What is that?
The Tai Chi session in the park. Like,
yes.
So there was a real focus here on health and wellness that I loved. But I also loved that it just felt like everybody here was so authentic. It wasn't, I know I give Atlanta a hard time. And I loved my 12 years in Atlanta, and I still got mad family and friends there. So no shade. But there's a black showiness about Atlanta that just never really resonated with me because I'm not showy on that level.
What does that look like? Tell me, what does that mean?
It's that Bravo VH1 shit.
Okay.
And I'm just,
The Housewives.
Yeah, and it's, I watch the Housewives and get a good kiki as
Sure.
well, but I don't want to live in that. And I don't want to live in the expectation of, how you need to be, what you need to be, what the aesthetic is around here, all those things. That just wasn't me. I want to wear athleisure.
Right.
I want to, run my sneaker collection up.
Yes.
I want to wear a hoodie to almost any and everything I can,
Always.
including business meetings, which I do.
Yes.
And I want it to not be an issue.
So what What was Atlanta Kahja like?
Oh God! Wow, it wasn't black and showy. I'll tell you that much. I had
So
a
you
full
brought it.
sew-in for many years. I
I
wore a
can't
wig one
imagine.
day here, and I was on BART, and I thought I was gonna pass out from a heat stroke. I just was like, "Oh my God, yo, how did I do this?"
Like a full lace front.
Like a whole sew-in,
Oh,
braids,
so
net,
yes, it's so okay.
tracks on
Yeah,
tracks on tracks. It just was like
that sounds
it was
yeah.
that. I wore heels, kitten and 2-inch, albeit, but heels. I hate heels. I got bad knees. I have no business in anybody's heel.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And I also learned the September 11th lesson because I was living in New York at the time that the shit could pop off at any moment and you need to have on comfortable
Right,
shoes in
right.
case you have to, make moves. So Atlanta Kahja was, in the thick of parenting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, I wouldn't say it was a scratching and surviving lifestyle, but, I was on my career comeuppance, if
Right.
you will.
Right.
And so that was it. I had a lot of friends who were single mothers as well, and we would hold each other down. We would babysit so people could go on a date. We
Mm-hmm.
would babysit so people could have company. We could babysit so people could go out to eat or go to the club if they wanted
Yeah.
to. So
That's
shout out
beautiful.
to my Atlanta friends, Veronica, Mattia, Andrea, all of y'all who, we kind of formed our real community there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So now you're in the Bay. You have a grown daughter.
Grown.
First of all, when I first met you, of course, I didn't know how old you were.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that I had any idea that you might have been on this planet a little bit longer than me
Mm-hmm.
was because of all of your wisdom. But I mean,
Hey.
if you haven't seen this woman, you well first should go to her Instagram and see first of all how gorgeous she is.
Thank you, Kendra.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe that you have a full grown daughter.
I can't believe it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What does she do in the world?
What does she
What does she do in the world?
well, she just finished doing what she does in the world in Atlanta because she just recently moved to Philadelphia.
Wow.
It's been not even a month now. And she's graduated from Cal State East Bay, and in the line of
Congratulations.
modern day millennials,
Yeah.
she's got her college degree and she's a barista. Hey,
Yes.
listen,
Yes. Listen,
it's,
we
it's
need our
wonderful.
coffee.
When you got good backing, you can take some years and kind of
Find your way.
find your way.
Congratulations. That's huge.
Yes,
You have-
she's doing that. And my birthday was this past Friday. I never thought I would get on Instagram and say how old I was, and not that I have a problem with it. I recognize in the spirit of gratefulness,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't make it to
Yeah,
a certain age, and I
absolutely.
think that was the frame of mind I was trying to keep myself within. But I'm not out here with a banner with the number on it because I like to again do what I do and be
Mhm.
where I be, and I don't want people to ever apply, age appropriate standards
Sure.
to
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
because I want to cat off like the Knicks.
Absolutely.
And I don't
Yes.
want nobody to be like, you stand that age
No.
and you should know
No.
better than to. And I'm like, leave me the hell alone.
Yeah. No, we don't. We don't do that. So
But that Pond's cold cream goes hard, y'all. Pond's cold cream and serum. I got a good old skincare regimen going to keep people off the trail.
all right. So post your skincare
I
regimen.
surely will.
For the people. So now that you are, you've got a grown daughter, you are out here, you are kind of in this new phase of your life. What is Bay Area Kahja like?
Man, Bay Area Kahja has a lot in common with 1994 Kahja.
Okay.
It is. It's, one of my favorite rappers, Nas, has a song, Second Childhood. And while I don't identify it with it completely because the song is really talking about, like a level of immaturity, which I can have some immaturity and inappropriateness at times.
I think that's
intentionally
important.
so.
Yes.
But Bay Area Kahja, this is one of the things I love about being here is I feel like I have a lot of freedom and I feel like I have a lot of peace because for the first time, my life decisions are really only about me.
Yes.
This place where I live now, this is the first place I have where I've lived alone. Because when I had my daughter, I
Yeah.
was 19. I was living at home. And, she was with me everywhere I went. So
Yeah.
this is my first time living alone as an adult.
What does that feel like?
Oh, my God. I'd run through there like Risky Business.
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yes.
It's me and Stevie. Stevie's a cat.
Oh,
Me,
yes.
Stevie Nicks
Wonder.
Wonder. Hey, he is the fam bam. He's the only member of the family who is a Deep East Oakland native.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that feels right.
hey,
That feels right. Black cat.
he's a black man from East
the
Oakland.
Yes,
Yes.
it makes a lot of sense.
But I love it. I feel very free here. I feel very much at peace, and I feel very much able to pick up things that I put down back in 95.
Tell me what was at the top of that list?
Well, I wanted to have, and I thought I was going to have a career in the fashion industry, not like a designer, but on the back end. So
Okay.
I had gone to New York City Technical College, which I think now is called something different, in downtown Brooklyn. But I went there and I got a 2-year degree in fashion marketing. And then I transferred to FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, which is one of two, prominent fashion colleges in New York, Parsons School of Design being the other, because I really wanted to have a career in product line design.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, textiles and design. I was thinking specifically around home furnishings. And I got to FIT. I think by this point, my daughter was 2, because at the New York City Technical College, which was a community college, it's for the community. So they had daycare there because, they're catering to, the masses. But FIT was a state university, and it definitely was not geared towards single mothers. So there was no daycare. And I would be kind of feeling like I'm living 2 lives, because I'm in this school with people who came from abroad, and they're here from London and Paris and this and that. And my hood Bronx welfare ass is in there being late to my art history class.
Right.
Because I got to drop my
You
baby
have
off
real
in the
life.
morning at
Yes.
daycare. And so, I wanted to have that career, but that didn't pan out. I think that next year, no, it was 3 semesters. I had to come out because I needed a full-time job.
Yeah.
The commute was a bit much with the daycare and the
Right.
pickup and all those things. So I was a college dropout. I did not get a bachelor's degree, and I ain't going back to school for one either. But I did not get a bachelor's degree because I needed to work. So I got a
Yeah.
job at the phone company.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and that was my career, customer service.
And so, okay, college dropout,
Yes.
go to work at the phone company, and you make your way to where we met.
Hey.
And, I mean, absolutely killing it in your career.
I'll be trying.
Tell
Y'all hear
me-
that Oakland in the background? I
Oh,
hope the
hey.
mics pick that up. All the 808s. Yeah, listen.
Pretty much, right?
Every day, I either get sirens. Listen, Oakland is a co-star of this podcast.
Oh, for sure. Oakland makes its debut in my my series too. We couldn't get away from it.
Can't get away from
Can't
it.
get
And
away
apparently the person is like parallel parked right outside this window because
Or want you to hear what you listen.
everything. 808s
Thank you for
bumping.
sharing. We appreciate you.
Yes.
The funny thing is, that's probably gospel you listen to. Everything sound like 808s.
Get your
Praise him.
inheritance. Okay.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So what has been your experience working for a big tech company in the Bay?
Whew. It's been interesting. So I have been working at said big tech company for almost 5 years now. And, like a lot of people, I came in with the, red, green, yellow, and blue in my eyes. And I'm like, I done made it. I have arrived. And the spotlight is on me. But, enjoy it as I have and still do, in large part. It's a job. It's a job like anything else. And I think a lot of people found that out, namely, when the pandemic happened.
Right.
Because, it is quite nice to show up to places and the space is beautiful and they're giving massages and you can detail my car while I'm working and
Right.
give me a haircut and all the food is free and I could go play pinball in between meetings and all the things, right? But when we all had to go to the house and shake all the sprinkles off the ice cream, this is a job.
Yeah.
and you either like it or you don't, or you either gonna do it
Yeah.
or you're not. So I think what some of the things I found in my time working there is, what it looks like when a company is really standing in a lot of places in their employees' lives. And I think there's good and bad to that. I think there's good, bad, and indifferent to that, right? Because you get to decide how much you want them to be involved. And some people buy all the way in. Some people ain't buying nothing.
Yeah.
Because there's a healthy level of skepticism, which is understandable. But I'm like, oh, you're in
So
this. And
for
you're doing
people, for the folks who don't work in tech and aren't familiar with all the ways that a company can be a part of your life, what do you mean when you say that they're standing in a lot of parts?
Well, of course, you're giving me my money and my group benefits, which is, the contract. But you're going to pay my student loans. You're going to feed me. I can come in here and work out. I could take a shower. You got the child care, so I can bring my kids. I can bring my family up here when I want to eat up. You're going to give me transportation back and forth. I can bring my pets here when I come here. And so, it's very easy to have your whole self or a right smart, as they would say, a right smart of your whole self associated with an organization or the culture or, the fetters of an organization. And I think it's great while it's great.
Sure.
Right? If you leave said organization, or worse, if they put you out, well, then what? Right. And I think there's just a fine line to walk. And I see people walk it all the time, some successfully and some unsuccessfully. There's a fine line to walk in having a value statement for yourself connected to where you get your money.
Yes.
Because those two things aren't always going to be congruent.
Right.
There's times I know I'm getting paid and I'm doing a 60% job. And then there's people I see doing a 160% job and they're not getting broke off. So it comes and goes.
Right. Wow. I mean, I think you make a really good point about having your own personal value statement. Because I have wondered myself, when you have all of these benefits, what does it mean when you're still not finding fulfillment?
Child. If I had $1 for all the people, I'm like, what more? I hate to say, what more do you want? Because who am I? And I always have to check myself, because who am I to set anyone's level of
Comfort
what they want or comfort or what's acceptable in your career trajectory or ambition, right? Or standard for yourself. But this is a job, and it's not a benevolence organization. It is a global conglomerate, right? Capitalistic society where their hiring pool is people of the world, and we all know what people of the world comes with. So to me, I have tried really hard to manage my expectations about what I get from here or what I expect from here at any given time. And so when people are having these, sweeping reactions to, it's not this and it's not that and it should be this and it should be that, and, not to negate any of that. In fact, what I do really stands at the intersections of all of those things. Right. But I think it's just been super helpful for me to look at it as, this is limited. Yeah. And what they'll ever be able to do for me, or what experience they really can give to me, because this is not a place. This is just my opinion, my own perspective. I don't come here to get validated, and I don't come here to get validated across any of my identities. I come here to get a check, and then I take my money and I go get validated in my life, and I go have my identities in my life. Yeah. But that's just me. That might be because this is not my first, second, or third rodeo. Right. That might be because I'm just black and tired. It could be a lot of things.
I mean, I would probably say it's all of those things. Yeah.
Right. I'm going to do your job and I'm going to do it well. But just, let me have my money, because that's the contract, and the group benefits, because that is important. Yeah. And, we'll work the rest out on the back end. But what I really do enjoy about the job is my ability to support people as they navigate some of those questions for themselves. Yep. And kind of help them get to, points of resolution. Do you want to stay? Do you want to go? Do you want to be promoted in a job you hate? And what does that look like? And are you doing it just for the money?
Right.
And why? How much money is enough? When is it enough? Is it ever enough?
Is it ever enough?
Are you going to bounce back and forth for the resume street credibility, and talking through all of these different avenues with people? So I find it to be interesting work.
Yeah. And I can say that I definitely have been blessed by meeting you, and you've helped me to answer so many of those questions. Do you feel like this podcast, this work that you're pouring resources and time and energy into?
Resources. Self-funded.
In case you didn't hear that,
Have
this
you
is
heard
funded
a commercial
by Kahja
or sponsorship here? No.
Do you feel like this is a place where you go to seek some of that extra that you're not getting in your day job?
I don't know. I see the podcast as, in its inception, as a creative outlet. I see it as an extension of what, by and large, I've already been doing, or is just already naturally occurring. And I know that my time in corporate HR is not going to be forever.
Right.
And what do I want to do when I'm not doing this? And how much of that is, strategy, what you think will align with what you've been doing so far career-wise. But a lot of it is just, what do I feel like I want to do?
Yeah.
And what am I happy when I'm doing? And I'm happy when I'm running my mouth, talking to people, asking them a bunch of questions. And people would keep saying to me, you should have a podcast. You need to be doing a podcast. And I'm like, well, okay, let's try it and let's see how it goes. And I specifically set it to be an every other week drop because I felt like I needed that in-between week to check in with myself, to be like, well, do you like it? Or not just to be running and trying to keep up with every 7-day production. But
right.
I'm glad I set it up the way I did because it gave me time to assess and course correct and make changes and whatever I needed to do in the time in between. So the podcast has been I wouldn't say eye-opening. I mean, we ain't up here, discovering the meaning of life. Don't get it twisted.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
It
might
definitely
be here
has
in
been
this conversation.
Could be, right? How to get money playing games on the phone. It's the meaning of, how to get paid. But it has been an exercise in getting off of the back row. It has been that.
Ooh.
When I had my cousin, shout out my cousin Kayla. She's a graphic designer based out of Charlotte. And so she did my logo for me.
Yeah.
And when I did the first iteration of the logo, here came my marketing and branding savvy friend, Marquita. She was like, you don't even have your name on this. Nobody even knows it's you because it's it's an animation, if you will.
Right.
She's like, no one knows it's you. You're hiding. And I'm like, I fought her on it in the beginning, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because here you are with a logo that represents you. Yeah. Right. In the animation. Right. But your name is not on it. So you're out, but you're not.
Anonymous. Yes.
You're anonymous. And I like that. I like anonymous. I like off the grid. I like the back row. I like out of the radar. I like all of those things. Yeah. But if you're going to do it, then you need to do it. Put your name on it. Isn't that the same? So I went back to my cousin and I'm like, okay, can we add some typography hosted by Kahja? I'm like, all right. So the podcast has been an exercise for me in getting off the back row.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll keep my back row seat good, though, because I like to sit back there.
Yeah, we'll keep it warm for you. But what have you learned? How does it feel?
I'm not sure yet. Because I'm still doing it. Right. Right. I keep saying, let me just get all the 6 episodes done and then I can do, a postmortem and assess the whole thing. How did I feel? Which episode resonated with me the most? Which episode do you think resonated with people the most? What did you like? What do you want to look at for how you want to brand it or market it going forward? And all of these considerations. I get lost sometimes in the analytics, even though I said I was not looking at them, but I do. And I'm like, somebody from remote countries. I'm like, how do you even find this shit? Somebody in what country? And I'm having to Google, where is this? What was Malawi? Was the most recent one. It was 11 downloads. And I'm like, what?
from the motherland?
Don't make me get on the tourism and travel brochure.
Okay. I mean, you might have to get out there.
I'm like, Malawi
on location.
is they're coming through. So
I love it.
that has been a learning for me with this as well. Look at the analytics, right?
Yeah.
By nature, I'm a fly by the seat of your pants kind of person. I don't like a whole lot of planning and rigidity, and analytics represents that for me.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm like, well, just do the podcast and let it be what it's going to be. But no, you need to look at the analytics and you need to understand a little bit about what's happening on the back end. So I think all of these things are helping to ground me in being a little bit more organized and intentional, and not so just let it happen as it will.
Yeah.
That's one of my sayings I say to my friends all the time is, well, we could all be raptured tomorrow. But that's an excuse to not have to plan. So I'm moving away from that.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be staying tuned because I want to know what you learned, how you grew, who you are after this experience.
All right. So do I.
Okay. I want to bring it back to your origin story really quick and ask you,
all right,
how are the Bay Area brothers treating you now?
They ain't treating me.
What? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh, Kendra, I think I've done a bit of every, right?
Okay.
Hood of the hood of the hood.
Yes.
Gold teeth.
Yes.
Fuck you, pay me tattoos. Up your neck.
Yep.
To, the men of the halls of academia. And all points in between, longshoremen, train operators, so on, ...
Yes.
And,
all the flavors, 31.
But I'm at the house with my cat.
Okay.
Somewhat intentionally and somewhat unintentionally.
Yeah.
I think what it is I have a lot of peace right now. And I would like to keep it. So I have to really think about it's the gamble, right?
Yes.
Every time, okay, well, maybe, but do I want to gamble with my peace in this moment? Some days the answer is yes.
Right.
Many days the answer is no. And, maybe somebody will come change my mind.
Well,
I'm open to it.
Okay. When that day comes, where are you finding them? How are they finding you?
Well, I'm never going online dating ever again.
That's fair.
That is a closed book.
Is there a story?
Oh, stories.
What is the one that made you say never again?
Really, there was no one in particular, I don't think. But when you get to a point where you start redlining people's profiles and sending it back to them with all the grammatical and spelling corrections, I'm like, get off of this, Kahja.
Not redlining.
I would redline it. I would edit people's profiles and send them back points about what would make for a better profile and why this is maybe not really like I told. There was a man I remember, and he's like, look, we went through a whole thing. He's like, I'm a 40-something-year-old man, and I've got my own place and my own car, and I'm like, okay. Point one, at this age and stage, that's like the car has a steering wheel. We expect that much. So the only person you stand to entice with that is people who don't have what they should have. So you should take that part out. And he's like, oh, I want somebody who's healthy and works out in a gym every day. Well, what if the person was 300 pounds and is working out every day and now they're 275? I don't think that's what you really mean to say. So you should adjust it to say X, Y, Z. And then what else did he say? My retirement account is where it needs to be, and I'm saving my money. And I'm like, well, this just stands to entice people who don't have their money together.
Right.
So maybe you should word this differently. And I'm like, am I getting a consultancy fee? Am I Willis Towers Watson in this?
Okay.
Like, I'm no broker, so I'm like, you're not even here dating anymore. Like, you're here working.
Right.
So just leave it alone.
I mean, okay, so if the podcast does not work out, you do have a future in online dating audits.
Hey,
it sounds like
I do. I write really good comms, and so
I can vouch for that.
I can be an online dating profile comms director. I just created that shit right off the rip. Just now.
I am pretty sure that you would have at least 20 clients if you were to open it up today.
I'll try. I mean, anybody dating me at this point, there's just certain things to get in line with. First of all, you cannot dislike nor be allergic to cats. You will go before Stevie ever will. Number 1, 2, and 3. Must like cats. You
Must
have to
like
love
cats.
them, but you got to like them and you can't be allergic to them.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's how I feel about my dog.
You have
Must
to like
love
to go out
dogs.
to eat.
Yeah.
I will cook when the wind hits me the right way.
Sure.
But, if you have those kinds of...
What are you cooking?
I cook a lot. I cook a lot of things. I made like a really nice Persian curry lamb last night. I got this was a pandemic project for me. I did a complete spice collection from Oaktown Spice Shop. I think I'm up to like 40 spices from there. It's, so I feel...
All right.
I put that shit in my will. My spice collection. I did.
That's beautiful.
It means a lot to me, Kendra.
I mean,
The stuff in people's will. Spices.
you know what?
Ceylon cinnamon is in my will. Saigon cinnamon, butcher ground pepper, Baharat powder. All these things are in the will.
I haven't heard of half of what you just said, but I mean, I'm sure it's delicious.
Yeah. Hey, I try to put things together.
I mean, I think that's important for the people to know
Yeah.
that there's no bland food coming out of your kitchen.
No bland food. No bland nothing. But, we'll see what happens. I'm out in these streets.
All right, I'm going to stay tuned
Summer's
for
coming.
that too. Oh, yes. Summer's coming. People are going to start letting their people loose soon. So there's going to be some new, fresh men's out there.
Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah, springtime. Springtime is here. It's basically here. So people are going to start. It's breakup season.
Oh, damn.
Cuffing season's about to be over.
I got broken up with in September, so
Oh,
I guess breakup season is all year
you know
round
what?
around
September
here.
September is a good time as well because you
Uh-huh.
don't have to get through Christmas and New Year's and Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That's a stressful time.
Hey, I'm not gonna run nobody down on this podcast, but
All right, well,
you could have had it all.
you could have had Christmas. Anyway, okay. We'll move right on along.
Moving along.
What is your dream for what's next in your life?
That's a good question, Kendra, and I think. Oh, I was about to say something along the lines of, I think the dream is that I don't have to have a plan. Like I get to move freely. This is okay. So let me take a step back because that's partially the answer. I don't have to have a plan. Like I feel free to let the wind blow, and I do find a lot of comfort and a lot of motivation in that I can make it be whatever I want it to be.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not playing to any specific, role or responsibility that I have to satisfy, and it's really just what I want to do. But in state, there are certain things that are on my radar.
Yeah.
There's a channel I watch all the time, Create TV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's base specific. I don't know what all cities it plays in, but this is like one of my favorite channels to watch because of the kind of programming they have. And I was like, I would love to have a show on Create TV where I go around to all these different places in the Bay Area and interview people and, have experiences, and it'll have an educational component, and it will have a cultural component, and it will have a foolishness component, and all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be something that I could see all of this leading up to. But, how much of a finite plan I have at this point? I don't know if I'm a finite plan kind of girl, and I'm trying to get there because I do believe that if you fail to plan to a degree, you're planning to fail. But I also think that, plans are just templates.
Right.
And shit changes. And I like to be able to move with the changes. So I don't have a firm stamp down on much right now.
I think that's important. I can agree with that. And I think it's more about how you want to feel in your life and then adjusting.
Yes. And how I want to feel, it varies.
Yeah.
Week to week.
Okay.
Sometimes day to day. I don't always want to feel the same way every day. So, that flexibility allows me to flip in and flip out of things as I so feel and as I so desire. And we'll let it work itself out. I mean, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have been like, oh, you're going to live in Oakland, working for a big tech company, doing your own podcast. I didn't plan any of this, and it happened. So what else am I not planning that might happen?
That might happen.
We'll see.
Well, I'm thankful that I get to be a bystander watching this journey unfold. It's been really exciting.
Thanks,
really
Kendra.
exciting to watch all that you've been creating and doing and uplifting in our home. For someone from the outside to come in and see the beauty and the love here it's really special, I think.
People laugh all the time. They be like, I would think you were from Oakland.
I mean,
but I love it here, though.
And that's from my perspective, a huge compliment. So
thank you.
We kind of like you here. We
Yes.
kind of like you.
I like y'all here too. I found a good community of people, and I'm glad to be here. And I'm glad I had my first creative endeavor here.
Yes.
And I'm glad that this is episode 6, and now I get to do my debrief.
You do.
I do.
You do. So, are you going to be sharing the debrief with the people?
Show ain't. I would not be sharing the debrief with the people, but all of these things will be incorporated into what season 2 will be.
Okay.
Right?
Tell us about season 2.
Do I want an intro? Do I want an outro? Do I want to make it, what has been coming up more and more often, a video component? Do I want to make it a podcast where, this is being filmed? I don't know about all that.
I mean, that's not back row.
That is the front of the front
That
row,
is the
front
front
street
of the-
and Broadway intersection. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I have it for that all the time. So there's all these things that I'm thinking about that will be factors in the debrief. But what I do know for season 2, and I've already started kind of thinking of a dream list of people who I want to interview.
Mm-hmm.
Still all Bay-centric stories, Bay-centric folks. But there are some people whose work, product, creations, etc. I really like. There's some people who I just think have really interesting backstories that I would love to talk to. So there are topics forming.
Yeah.
I may interview some people who aren't in the Bay, so there may be some people
Okay.
joining by phone because I know interesting people
Yeah.
in a lot of places who
Yeah.
can really lend credence to a lot of the topics that I will be talking about next season. Ideally, I see next season taking off sometime in the month of May. So that gives me April to
Yes.
recalibrate and make whatever changes I'm going to make. And I'm so grateful for all of the people who have, lent their time and their support to me getting these 6 episodes done, because nothing happens by yourself.
No, that's for sure.
Not at all. And I'm grateful to, just all the people whose conversations have been helpful to me in just moving towards a creative endeavor. Because I could stay in corporatitude,
Right.
but why?
Right.
Why would you?
I mean,
Do a new thing.
I wouldn't if I were you, because this is something that I think not only are you great at, but it brings a lot. I've learned a lot
Oh, thank you.
each episode. So, before we wrap, I would love to hear from you, kind of what you want people to take from this season. What do you hope? What's the message that you hope people take?
Well, the first one is that there's just so much creativity coming out of this place, right? I just feel like on a regular basis, I'm so amazed as I come across people and meet people that they're so dope in art and music and fashion and, socio-political, issues of the day and hair and makeup and, all of these things, jewelry creation, just everything, right? There's so much creativity coming out of the Bay Area. So I think that is the first thing I want people to recognize. And also, again, as an East Coast transplant, I just really didn't have a lot of visibility into the West Coast outside of these very generic preconceived, perspectives.
Right.
So hopefully, I have brought in perspectives about what Oakland is and isn't
Mm-hmm.
for people who maybe, don't live here or haven't been here, or, maybe they're just not going to come here. But I think for me, with this being a storytelling podcast, and I said it in the first episode, that all stories are unique and all stories are valid. And
Yes.
so I think, as you know, with your endeavor, Black and Brown in the Middle, that the storytelling component is really key,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a key to shared experiences. It's a key to shared relatability. And it's key to seeing what has been possible for someone that can be possible for you.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm thankful to be along for your story and to be hearing it and to be now exposed to so many other stories that I would have never heard. I think that's amazing. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you,
so
Kendra.
much, so much.
I appreciate it.
Where can people find you?
Well, before we say where they can find me, first tell them where they can find you so they can check
Ooh.
out the episode.
Well, you can find us at blackandbrownitm.com. We're also on Instagram, blackandbrownitm. That's where you'll find all the links to teaser, full episode, upcoming projects, all the things. Thank you
You're welcome.
for that.
You better get your Issa Rae on.
That's the blueprint.
That's the blueprint.
That's the blueprint.
That's my inspiration. I know we ain't using the term spirit animal, but that's
She's a spirit
in my
woman.
mind's eye. There will always be Issa, the character and the real life person.
For real. I mean, being an awkward Black girl myself,
Mhm.
I can't help but, connect and want to replicate all that she's doing. But
Hey, Issa's dope.
she's so dope.
Well, that's where you can find Kendra. If you want to follow me on my socials, I have two. I don't know how much longer I'll have two because in the postmortem, I'm assessing why do you have two? But for today, I have
Me
I
too,
have
girl.
two. Yeah, right. This is just like duplicating efforts. But you can follow me if you want to just tap in with some of the things that I'm exploring around the Bay Area at K in the Bay, which is KAY_IN_THE_BAY_, or on the page where it's probably more popping over here, which is Kahja versus Kahja, which could be rebranded, but I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. Stay tuned. But if you want to come and stop by there now and get to know me a little bit better, it's KAHJA_VS_KAHJA. And
Always
that's
a good
it.
time. Always a good time.
Episode 6
Wow.
is done. Season
Yes.
1 is done.
Woo!
I'm going to see all my guests at my season 1 rap dinner because this is a classy organization I'm running over here.
Oh, we're
And,
blessed.
we
We
gonna
are
eat.
blessed.
We're going to eat. We're going to kick it. We're going to reflect. And, I get to say thank y'all to all of y'all
We thank
who
you.
showed up for me.
We thank you.
All right.
It's
Peace.
been real.